Welcome, viewers, to Heroes of the Coast. This is the program that brings you the personal stories of the people who have dedicated their lives to protecting the California coast for the rest of us. I'm happy to welcome today two of the staff members from Heal the Bay who have had extraordinary roles in bringing education about the coast to the public at large and California school children. Leslie Mintz, Meredith McCarthy.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to start with you, Meredith, talking about all the different ways in which Heal the Bay helps educate the public about coastal issues.
We have some incredible programs, starting with our Speakers Bureau program, where we train people in the spring and in the fall. We send them through 10 hours of very thorough training about the sewage system, about the storm drain system, about ways they can make a difference. And after they go through this training, then they're able to then turn around and go back into the community to Lions clubs and schools and churches and anyone who will welcome us. And we spend a lot of time in the community. We talk to about 23,000 people a year just through that program alone.
23,000 people a year.
It's really exciting. And then, you know, my favorite is the third graders who write you back that they pledge their lives to the environment and they're so happy they have a new best friend. So it's so heartwarming, really, to see these kids, and even kids all over the county, Compton, Watts, Southgate, Linwood, you know, they're so eager to help. You know, what can I do? And you connect them to their storm drain system and, you know, say you can protect these animals just by cleaning up your neighborhood, and all the light bulbs go on, and it's quite rewarding.
How long has this program been going?
This program has been going almost since the start of Heal the Bay, actually. It's one of our oldest programs. So it's certainly been handed down, and it's evolved, you know, the issues evolve certainly, but we stay true to the sort of water quality awareness, watershed education. It's interesting, the whole idea of a watershed is such a very new concept, really. When you ask someone in school now what a watershed is, it's like, that's not really a familiar term. So it's exciting to be able to connect them, the top of the watershed all the way down to the coast, so that's exciting.
How many volunteers are involved in that program?
About 50 volunteers who are able to go out, and then also we use them on Coastal Cleanup Day, which is just passed, which is always the third Saturday in September, where we bring, this year we had 10,300 people come to
10,300.
Yeah, we had 61 sites all over the county, and people came and with their families and their church groups and their, you know, their corporate office, and they, from 9 to noon, they cleaned up, and we collected almost 98,000 pounds of trash and recyclables. So it was just incredible. And what's beautiful about Coastal Cleanup Day is that people come to the beach just thinking they're going to go do a good deed and participate and do their part. But through our Speakers Bureau program, there's somebody there who actually can connect some dots for them. You know, it's very important that they're picking up these tiny styrene pieces and these cigarette butts, because it has such a huge impact. And once you connect them to that bigger picture, they're very, you know, it's like, okay, let's start, you know, it's exciting. We have a program called Key to the Sea, where we train teachers with a whole curriculum package. So they come for a Saturday, they get some more information, and they get trained on how to use this curriculum. We give them the curriculum. Then they go back, work the curriculum with their students, and they then get to bring a whole field trip to one of our partnering aquariums, either the Santa Monica Pier Aquarium, the Redondo Sea Lab, the Manhattan Beach Roundhouse, or Cabrillo. So they not only get to experience it in the classroom, but then they get to come to the beach and dig in the sand and really have that full experience. So it's a nice full
that ends up being like a 2-day program?
It's actually
1 day in the classroom?
One day. The teacher works the curriculum however it fits into their regular curriculum, science or math or social studies, however they can apply it. It's all to California state standards, so it's a nice program.
It incorporates the regular learning that they're required to be involved in.
Absolutely.
And you developed all of those
Yeah, Heal
programs?
the Beat, absolutely.
Great.
It is a fantastic program, and they see, I believe, an additional 13,000 students go through that program as well. So,
What grade?
it's K through 5.
Oh.
So all of those teachers.
So you have different curriculums for the different
Absolutely.
age groups.
So
That's
it's
very
pretty thorough.
complex.
It is. It's no small task. But it's fantastic, and that's just through a very small way incorporating environmental education. And Leslie's going to talk about a much bigger way that we're working on that. But we also have the Adopt a Beach program, where your company or your club can adopt the beach, and you basically agree to 3 times, and then you get a big certificate from the state, and it's a wonderful program.
What do they actually do?
They come down, we meet them there, we give them a sort of an orientation and some safety information, and again connect why it's so important that they're there. It's not just these few pieces of styrofoam, it's this much bigger picture, that it starts back where they live. That storm drain, that catch basin in front of their house, and for most people, they think that's a sewage system, or it goes somewhere and somebody's taking care of it. But so it's nice to be able to pull some pieces together, certainly for them.
Now, are they doing then cleaning up the beach throughout the year? That's
Yes,
not just
absolutely.
on one day. So they
Anytime they want. It's up to
anytime they
them,
want.
wherever it's convenient for them, after school, Saturday morning, Sunday morning after church, wherever, we're
And do
available.
you find that they take ownership of this after they've,
Absolutely.
even after the 3 times they keep doing it?
Yeah, we often see a lot of these
Great.
groups come back and participate in Coastal Cleanup Day, which is always exciting. And then we have our Nothing But Sand, which is our monthly beach cleanup. Every 3rd Saturday of the month we we usually have about 100, 150 people come down every month who've just made it just dedicated, and beautiful souls will just say, hey, it's just what we've made our family commitment to do. And so that's always a lot of fun. That's from 10 to noon. It's always the 3rd Saturday. So very busy.
Very, very busy. And you coordinate all that.
I play a big role in moving those pieces. Each of those separate programs has a manager, but we certainly work together. We sort of combined one of the Cities to the Sea, Adopt a Beach, and Speakers Bureau in a new program that we're calling Cities to the Sea. So that the inland community gets to take full advantage of these kind of programs. It's not just for the beach community, certainly.
Oh, tell me more about that. That's very interesting.
Well,
because we know the beach, the coast is important to everybody in California.
We have the Compton Creek watershed is an inland watershed that all communities, Watts, Willowbrook, Florence, Firestone, Southgate, Linwood, Compton, all drain to Compton Creek, and then Compton Creek drains to the Los Angeles River, and of course the Los Angeles River drains down out and through the San Pedro Bay and Long Beach. So connecting these communities, which are mostly traditionally underserved, organizations like ours haven't gotten to them in the past. It was up the watershed, it was inland, and now we're realizing that these communities are so welcoming and so eager to get this information.
Great.
And it's been incredible.
Like typically, who do you deal with in the
just schools and organizations? Jesus Love Compton, and just there's hundreds of organizations, social justice organizations for the most part, not necessarily environmental justice.
So it's kind of grassrootsy. It's not, you're
Absolutely.
not going to the mayor's office or something.
We are doing that as well. We're coming at it from both angles, absolutely. But getting those, we just did our Coastal Cleanup Education Day, which was the Friday beforehand, and we brought 20 schools from that watershed out to the beach. And for the most part, I would say about 75% of these kids have never been to the beach. So they were just walking in the sand was a joy, because they had never been. And these kids live 18 miles away, and so it was beautiful. And,
truly.
And for those communities, we're organizing neighborhood cleanups.
Did you see? Were they fearful at all? Anything of the water? Just
joy.
Joy.
Really? It was
God,
truly joy.
We'll have to try to get some photos of that. And
it was a beautiful thing.
One of these days, we're going to have to get that on videotape. Because that'd be wonderful. And it's interesting to me that sometimes I find that the school kids in that Compton Creek watershed they're not used to it. They're not, it's not something they see every day, so it's even more of an incredible experience. The kids in Malibu and Santa Monica, they're used to it, and but
you know, the kids in Linwood and Southgate are just like, you know, they just light up when you talk about whales and dolphins and and the coast. So they're, you know.
Well, dolphins, you know, and whales were my point of entry into environmental activism. So I know how powerful that, you know, that bond is between these mammals that live in the sea. So
And sharks are a big one too. There's always lots of love for that shark, which I'm thrilled. So it's always exciting. So.
You mean like the great white?
Oh, the bigger the better.
Anything with teeth.
He's very excited. Even, you know, they're a little afraid, but they still just love the idea of them. So it's exciting.
Leslie, let's talk about what you have done, are doing, are going to be doing.
Okay.
Where did you come into this whole picture?
Well, Heal the Bay has taken these incredible sort of pioneering community inland efforts and you know, the growth of Coastal Cleanup Day and Adopt a Beach and expertise and education on the ground that Meredith and others have developed over the last several years. And we expanded it to some statewide legislation that was passed in 2004.
Could you tell me about that?
Yes, that is the Education and the Environment Initiative, otherwise known to those of us in the business as the EEI. And that particular law, it is a law, it was signed by Governor Davis actually.
Wonderful.
Is now in its first couple years of implementation. And just a few weeks ago, Governor Schwarzenegger signed a follow-up piece of legislation to AB 1721, sponsored by the administration, to fund the first phase of the Education and the Environment Initiative. And so we have received $7 million over 2 years to work with the state, lots of stakeholders, to develop curricula. And this curricula is going to be different things for different grades, because the special thing I think about the EEI is it allows for the State Board of Education to approve environmental education curricula in every grade, in every discipline. So it is a full sweep. Yes, it is really landmark legislation in that regard. It's potentially a national model for the United States, because it is really, California is poised to be at the crest of this environmental education wave that we are all praying to sweep, you know, the nation before it's too late. And we think that this will be a great opportunity also for the state to start developing the ability to do public-private partnerships in environmental education, because Heal the Bay...
Typically with who?
Well, nonprofit.
Okay.
The nonprofit community has traditionally been the vanguard of environmental education. And I think that as the state builds its capacity to go out and tell the districts and the teachers and help them do professional development to use the curricula, they're going to need the assistance of people like Meredith, other nonprofits in those respective communities. And so we're very hopeful that at the end of the next 5 to 7 years of implementation, that we won't just have textbooks with environmental education, and we won't just have teachers who understand how to use those books, but that we will have schools that have relationships with environmental education nonprofits in their community, so that kids can then go out to the beach or go out and do hands-on community-based environmental education.
Because that's what makes it real.
Right, and the EEI is a first step. It doesn't get us all the way there, but it does institutionalize environmental education for the first time in California and the nation. So we're beginning to
California can still be pretty radical. And I'm glad to know it.
Yeah, I know. We're developing the curricula, and there's going to be a call for all kinds of writers and consultants. And then after that's finished, we will be seeking the assistance of private foundations and industry, academic institutions, and others to help pay for the implementation of that in the schools, to allow teachers to be trained, for instructional plans to be rewritten, and things like of that nature. So it's a multi-year process. It's a long-term project, but it's very highly leveraged, and it's an incredible opportunity that we're hoping to use our expertise in our regional and local programs and then help import it into the school system, the public school system.
Now, when you say environmental education, of course, we know that environment really touches every aspect of our lives.
That's right.
And so the subject material will be very broad. But can you kind of
Absolutely.
begin to elaborate on how you know, some examples of what it would be
Certainly.
like?
I think there are going to be different people in different disciplines who bring expertise to bear. The EEI original legislation incorporated 14 different mandatory subject areas: ocean, air, water, agriculture, including environmental justice and environmental health.
Wonderful.
So there is a broad umbrella to cover, and we're seeking the expertise of experts in those areas to help make sure that it's fully fleshed out. I think that a focus of this effort is going to be making sure that gaps in current academic content standards are covered. For example, Meredith mentioned the concept of a watershed. Although that's somewhat present in current academic content standards, science standards for the state of California, there isn't an awful lot about it. There isn't information about how water is treated before you have to drink it. Children are not taught about the concept of conservation. In history, for example, they're required by the content standards to learn about the grizzly bear on the California flag, but they're never required to be taught that it's been extinct in California for 75 years. So things like that, where there are gaps in knowledge that will help children make informed choices about their impact on the environment and become stewards. We think energy conservation, things like global warming and climate change, water conservation, those kinds of concepts are not traditionally highlighted, if at all, present in the current standards. And hopefully our curricula will begin to supplement those gaps.
Now, did you face any opposition in getting this passed from people, for example, who say, "Oh, there's no global warming"?
Meredith's been picking up the gray hairs behind me as I tear them out. We did. We had irate people. We had death threats. We had legislative. Oh yes, we had legislative poison pills. We had under-the-table backroom stabbings. We had every kind of bureaucratic and nightmare you could imagine. The California,
would you like to give us a few of those high points?
I think the most important takeaway is to at least acknowledge that the state educational system is overburdened as it is, and I think that's a legitimate issue. So maybe understandably they view things like environmental education as voodoo science, and they feel that teachers are overburdened and they can't possibly add more to the plate. And if you want to teach environmental education here, then are you going to be required to teach this particular part of history over there? And so there is a legitimate concern there, but what we did is we said that we are going to teach this in the context of other academic content standards, so that we will teach existing standards to mastery so that students perform well on tests and really learn the fundamentals. So this provides a context. It doesn't give a whole new set of material necessarily that teachers have to take on. And we're also going to provide assistance. We're developing a planning process over the next year and a half for what exactly that assistance will look like, whether there will be stipends, and what kind of professional science training we will help provide. But we're not going to just slam the book on the table and say, go do it. We're going to be behind them every step of the way.
And it's so important. I think the word environment has sort of been stolen, and I think what's really exciting about this is to take it back.
In certain places, we're told you should not use the word environment.
And it's funny, for a lot of people, environment, I mean, at least what we're discovering in the inland communities, that environment means nature. And, you know, at first it's like, well, there's no nature here. There's not even a park here. So you can take your environmental message and go somewhere where there's nature. And it's fantastic
We've
to be able...
destroyed it here, so we don't need it.
Move on. So it is interesting to be able to take back the environment, the built environment, that the environment here is all concrete. So how do we talk about community health in this built concrete environment? And it is everywhere. It is everything. It is all of us. And one of these things that I think is fantastic about this is that it's in every subject. And
okay, now there's some that are obvious to me. The science ones, chemistry, biology, that's easy. History even. How do you work it into some of the other subjects, like English? Do you do like writing?
That's a fair question.
Philosophy is
Well, that's good. Those are good thoughts. In order to get the Curriculum Commission and the State Board of Education to approve these materials, and unless materials are approved in schools, they really won't be taught. And that, again, is even separate from an adopted text or things. But approval is important, so it's not considered supplemental. Then it sits on the shelf.
Sure.
In order to get these materials approved, we have to, within a range, stick to the current academic content standards, which are something we originally tried to change, but that was anathema, so we did our legislation a slightly different way. But suffice to say that for things like English language, I think the important thing is to make sure that children have a selection of texts that have an environmental context. For example, high schoolers might read a book that Meredith has been extolling the virtues of, Cradle to Cradle. Preschoolers might read The Lorax by Dr. Seuss.
Oh, great.
So it's not that they would necessarily not learn the fundamentals of reading and writing, they just would have an appropriate context. For mathematics, very similar, because you simply cannot teach the Pythagorean theorem by learning environmental concepts. You can use mathematical examples that incorporate the environment, but that perhaps is not as truly connected to environmental education as science is, as history is. So I think that's why the curricula will be different things for different grades. And we undertook an extensive 1.5-year mapping process to current standards to make sure the material was aligned. Meredith mentioned Heal the Bay's materials are aligned to current academic content standards. That's very important for schools to actually use the material, and ironically, or unfortunately, most nonprofits don't have the knowledge and the expertise to make sure that some of the great stuff they put together is developed in that format, and hopefully this bill at a future date will address that lack of knowledge and help build capacity in the environmental community to learn how to do that.
We brought teachers in when we were working on our Coastal Cleanup Day activity guide that we just produced, and the first thing they said is that they now have to write the standard on the board that they're teaching that day. And so it's one of those things that and they don't have time in their day to go through and find the standards for some of this curriculum, even though it's fabulous curriculum. So if we can meet them halfway, then it's much more likely to be used.
We have to deal with the bureaucratic reality and the administrative reality of where California's educational system is at. So we are trying to work with that and push the envelope within that framework.
We're down to the last couple minutes of the program, and can you give me a couple of examples of people you see who have come through the whole process with Heal the Bay as young people and are now becoming engaged in this work as young adults? Do you have some of those stories?
We do. This is Santa Monica High School is right down the street, and they have some of those kids who were doing programs through their grammar school now are in the surf club, and the surf club has adopted the beach. And they are also just went through our Crew high school training program, which is where we train high school students to be beach captains for our big cleanups. And it's great to see those kids, over the course of time make a full circle, and now they are the teachers. And it's a beautiful thing to watch, certainly.
Final thoughts, Leslie?
It's an exciting opportunity, and we're very fortunate, and we intend to make the most of it with our local and regional programs, as we have been, and with our state efforts.
Yeah, it's our 20th year, so.
20th year. I'm so proud of the work of Heal the Bay, and
thank you.
We're really, you have a tremendous, powerful, large organization that brings all of this awareness to, thousands of people a year.
It's
thousands
fabulous.
And thousands of
One of the
people a
things
year.
we tell the kids is that one woman made a difference. Dorothy Green made a
That's
difference.
right.
And I
One
look
person.
at every single one of their little faces and I say, you can make that difference too. And I'm like, will you help me? And they all raise their hands every single time.
They do.
It's
They
really
do.
amazing.
How heartwarming. Well, thank you both very, very much
Thank you for having us.
joining me. Viewers, we invite you to participate in Heal the Bay. You can get a great deal more information about what Heal the Bay does by going to the website, healthebay.org.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Or you can call 800-HEAL-BAY,
We also
In
have a
California.
Spanish language phone line now and a
You do?
Spanish
That's great.
website as well. So
Okay.
2 languages.
And for more information about Earth Alert, it's www.earthalert.org. Thank you very, very much for being with us, and we invite you to come back another time for more stories of heroes of the coast. And my congratulations to Heal the Bay for spawning heroes of the coast.
Thank you.
So.